Now that one has an understanding of what is neural organization technique, people are going to be asking, well, how do you find these circuits, whether they're on or off? There is a technique that was discovered in the mid-60s, which was given the name Applied Kinesiology. It is not kinesiology as taught in universities. It is a chiropractic technique that developed by applying the knowledge of the nervous system to the function of the body, which is what kinesiology means. So we are using applied kinesiology, which is a method of testing the body's circuitry and seeing how reflexes work and how they are on or off, and how to correct them if they're off. One of the phenomena that was discovered was called the muscle testing, which is really not a good term for it, because you're not just testing a muscle. I like to call it circuit testing. And it's very analogous to how an electrician would test if your circuits are on or off. You would bring in your TV set or your computer and say something's not working. They would take the top off and they would start checking with their wire and their light bulb and go between point to point. And you'd see its complexity of a diode to a transistor to a capacitor, back to a transistor, over to a diode. They have to know how the circuitry is done. N.O.T has discovered the manual for the human body, so I follow that protocol. But what is my tester to test, are the circuits on or off? What we found is that you could take any muscle of the body. In this case, we're going to use his arm because he's standing up. We take any muscle and I'm going to offer pressure and he's going to counter resist. And he can do this easily. He's not pushing hard. It's not a strength test. It's the test, is there integrity of this one circuit which is sending a message from the brain through the spinal cord via one cable or one nerve to this muscle. And now we have an integrated circuit. Then the curious phenomenon happened that when we go and touch certain reflexes on the body, and those reflexes could be known as acupuncture points or chiropractic reflexes or applied kinesiology reflexes, don't worry about the terminology. It's when you go touch the circuit, all of a sudden if it's not working, they can't hold power no matter how hard they try. You have to experience this to see it. And as soon as I take my hand away, the body returns to full power because you're not asking the computer an intelligent question. You go and touch again, or the patient can go and touch, or you can have somebody else in the room touch, and it will always show. Then the research began in the 1960s, well, how do you correct it? So they tried putting needles acupuncturally, or sometimes digital pressure. You must understand this is not a forceful technique. It's just a matter of connecting points and knowing which circuits to go. Again, it gets more complicated because you have to know, are we correcting this eyes open or eyes closed? With the light, with the dark. Sometimes I have to check a patient standing because they fell from a scaffolding and now when they stand their body is not working, but lying down or sitting is fine. Some people got hit in a car accident. And so their insurance keeps going and saying, no, we have to close this case, but nobody's correcting anything. But if we just had them sit down, the body would show you everything. I have to be a good detective to find it all, which is my responsibility. So when we're checking things, we walk through the patient and have them with eyes open, then he would close his eyes, and then I'd test it. Then we'd, if we found a circuit here that would go weak, we would correct it. And then the most important thing, and the beauty of this, is we retest it and it's back to strength. There we know now we've corrected it and we move on to the next step in the protocol. And that's how the protocol works. It is really a continuous history. When a person comes in, it's like reading a book. They come in, I find what circuits are working, and I start telling them what I would expect their symptoms are, and they're quite amazed because usually we're quite correct. And that's confidence for the patient to have in the doctor.